stream. If it weren't for CNS Bank, or at least a branch of theirs in Alabama, they would never have met Robert E. Lee. Uh, I doubt they would have gone along to begin with. So how was my week? Well, it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty crazy and hectic week for all those following world events. There was Brazil had its own January 6th thing on January 8th, which incidentally was the anniversary of when we had a shooting here in Tucson, which doesn't bode well. Let's see. Golden Globes happened last week, and the Best Animated Feature Prize went to Pinocchio. The Best Picture Prize comedy went to comedy or drama went to Banshees of Inisherin, and the Best Picture Prize drama went to The Fablemans, which is a new Steven Spielberg film. At any rate, or something. Yeah, I'm definitely doing this live, so you can tell from there that I'm definitely doing it live. I'm doing everything you see here live on camera in front of the whole world. Um, or at least I'm making a nice little habit of it. Let's see, what else? Can't think. I think Biden is being investigated for something again. But the memory of what he's investigated for has escaped me, so I have to look it up again. They're continuing to claim that this whole died silently thing is a code word for you took the COVID vaccine. Well, that's insanely stupid. Anyway. Yep. Yep, it's so crazy. I'm having trouble remembering huge chunks of it. And good evening to you, Carlos Aguilar. I am doing quite well. By the way, for at the end of the week, I sat down and I played around. So Sonic Heroes, I played the team. Well, I did the GameCube version of that using the Dolphin emulator. And as far as I know, anyway, well, I got into Team Rose and I did a bit of Team Chaotix on that one. So I was trying to mirror the live streams of trying to mirror the levels that Sandwich Gamer 1998 did for the PS2 version, but using it for the GameCube version, which he recommended. Now, as far as Team Rose is concerned, as far as the GameCube version of Team Rose is concerned, I was not prepared for the fact that Eggman would be incredibly overpowered, if you will, in the game. I I could show you a bit of. I didn't even record the my own gameplay of that, but uh, from memory, it took as it seemed to take as long as a social security call to defeat Eggman in a supposedly easy iteration of a game where you already have a cartoonish villain. Okay? You already have a cartoonish villain in this game. His name is Eggman. You don't need to have. He should be far more defeatable than that. Okay? Oh, that was a goof. Anyway, I've set up my new pattern of getting or doing surprise videos. Me alternate between music or other media items and DVDs for much of 2023. Or at least I'll go back to that after spending almost the entire year of 2022 focused on DVDs, because after all, this was the this last year marked the 25th anniversary of the DVD format being a thing. It's been around for 25 years in the States, which is pretty hard to believe. And what's going on this Martin Luther King Day? Let's see if I can read some headlines that come up on my feed. Oh yeah, there's some breaking headlines. Pentagon's top official meets Ukrainians training with U.S. troops. There's a report from the Washington Post. Pentagon's top general Monday visited two sites in Germany used by the U.S. military to enhance the fighting skills of their Ukrainian counterparts, offering encouragement to those on the training field and directing the Ukrainian soldiers, instructing them to squeeze as much as possible into the newly established program before the Ukrainians return to war. General Mark A. Milley said, "This is not a run-of-the-mill rotation. This is one of those moments in time where if you want to make a difference, this is it." The general's visit marked his first trip to the facility in the muddy Bavarian countryside since Russia's invasion of Ukraine nearly a year ago. The base, covering roughly 90 square miles, began hosting Ukrainian forces in 2014 when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. It's now the site of the newly expanded regiment for the Ukrainian military, which sent a battalion of more than 600 soldiers to spend 6 weeks learning how to layer tanks, artillery, and other weapons to maximize their effect ahead of an expected counteroffensive against Russian forces entrenched on Ukrainian territory. So, and then celebrity headlines: Amy Grant, his niece, had a wedding, and she's LGBTQIA plus. And attacked for it. She said, "I never chase any of those rabbits down the rabbit hole. I love my family. I love those brides. They're wonderful. Our family is better, and you should be who you are with your family and be loved by them." She also revealed her niece's nuptials took place at the very place she and Vince Gill got married in back in 2000. She says, "I own a farm that I bought back in the 90s, and they were just looking for a beautiful place to get married, so she and Sam got married on the same hillside where Vince and I got married." And she opened the Los Angeles concert honoring 8 Hertz co-founder Jerry Moss, for your now class of 1991 ballad "I Will Remember You" before Peter Frampton, Mia Coolidge, David Foster, Herb Alpert, Dionne Warwick, and Sting took the stage. And the big headline today was C.J. Harris, an American alumni, died at 31, died suddenly from a heart attack. And as usual, anti-vaxxers have been claiming, oh, it's because of the vaccine, it's because of the vaccine, it's because of the vaccine. No, 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 no. Medically, vaccines would not cause a person's heart attack under, any circumstance, really. Let's be wise about that. Because clearly they weren't. Anti-vaxxers anyway weren't. And speaking of the died suddenly thing, let's talk about a video from this week in conservative humor. This week in conservative humor. Yeah. David Wolf. This comes to us from David Wolf. And for those of you who don't know who he is, and I'm not talking about Cyndi Lauper's manager here. That's a completely different person. This David Wolf is a jack of all trades as far as pseudoscience is concerned. He's a foodist. He's a colloidal silverhawk. He's a pseudoscientist. He's an anti-masker. And he's a guy who spread the ableist myth that vaccines cause autism. He's one of those guys. He put out a video on this whole thing about young people dying suddenly. That is so bad that it makes Saturday Night Live's COVID-19 commercial look decent. You may remember that they did last year. SNL did a parody of the COVID-19 pandemic. They did a commercial, a flat-out commercial for the COVID-19 pandemic that was incredibly insensitive and, to say the least, was in very bad taste. But but David Wolf just gave SNL executive producer Lorne Michaels a run for his money with this whole died suddenly thing. I'm gonna turn the camera over here, and yeah, there we go. The volume's up. Let's see.
Are you or a loved one suffering from a medical coincidence? You want proper medical care, but you don't want people sniffing around asking a whole bunch of questions about what might be causing your problem. At the Kaufman Institute for Coincidence, we won't look into the cause of your heart or other problem. We'll just fix it. That's right. We promise to only look at your symptoms. We won't get all curious looking for causes, because that could get your employer or your doctor into some legal hot water. And nobody wants that. At Kaufman, we understand that coincidence is now the leading cause of death. Hey, we've got another coincidence over here. If we want to operate at the speed of science, there's no time for looking for causes. No pesky questions about drugs or vaccines you may have been given. At Kaufman, we specialize in the effects and leave the causes to the conspiracy theorists. And let's be honest, we know the cause anyway. It was a coincidence, right? For each new patient, Kaufman's talented team of doctors strap on their blinders and look directly at the problem area, usually the heart, just like the CDC recommends. Our main campus now treats myocarditis, blood clots, heart arrhythmia, stroke, heart attack, magnetic skin, difficulty breathing, full body blisters and burning, convulsions, kidney failure, memory loss, cancer, sudden death, and much, much more. Give your coincidence the attention it deserves, but not the wrong kind of attention. At Kaufman. Schedule your appointment today at kaufmancoincidence.com and receive a doctor's note with a real science-y sounding explanation to provide to your anti-vax friends, proving to them it was definitely not the vaccine that caused your coincidence. Kaufman, because coincidences happen pretty much all the time.
Official medical coincidence partner of the NFL.
And the coincidence in this case was that it was a response to the fact that somebody of the Buffalo Bills, by the name of, let's see if I can type it, Damar Hamlin, actually got a sudden heart attack during a Buffalo Bills game against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's since recovered, though, I believe. He actually recovered quickly, which, if you get COVID, that's what the vaccines go into your body, and they're designed to prepare you in the event that you get COVID. Because once you get COVID, that's when the vaccines really go to work. And what do they do when they're going to work? Well, they're in the air, and they'll work to eliminate the COVID that you have in your body, and they'll do it quicker than they would. Then the COVID will be gone. It will go away in vaccinated people more often than it will in an unvaccinated person. In fact, if you're unvaccinated, you're worse off. Because those who are unvaccinated against COVID-19 end up dying from it real quick. It's much more. Mm-hmm. You know, I would think I myself am not in a position to die of COVID because of vaccines, and heart issues can be caused by other factors, other medical factors that the vaccines definitely wouldn't have caused. Factors that are, in fact, unrelated to the vaccine. Anyway, I'm going a bit off track. These jokes are extreme. I'm going a bit off track. This is what we just looked at is yet another example of how bad conservative humor is. It's the most unfunny thing this side of joke theft made by Carlos Mencia back in the 2000s. It's that bad. And it's a very bad collection of sorry conspiracy theory, very sorry collection of conspiracy theories about people dying suddenly. And no, I did not laugh once during the whole thing. It was that bad. And now for my dog of the week. Now on to my dog of the week, where I pick the worst things I saw on the internet all week long, and it happens to the source of my dog of the week is from Nick Adams. Is of course Nick, not Nick Adams again. Oh boy, what do we do without Nick Adams for a dog of the week? The guy wants to take your kids to Hooters, and humps Trump a lot, and now he's back again. This time he's talking about the most pertinent and pressing issue facing our society today, and that would be female M&M's characters. Or as he says in his video, feminist M&M's. Let's take a look at it. He does in Times Square too, from what I gathered. Let's turn this camera thing over here and let's hear it.
G'day guys, It's Nick Adams here. I want to speak about M&M's. I want to speak about Mars, the company behind M&M's. M&M's have just released feminist M&M's. Yes, you heard me right. Feminist M&M's. Egregious sexism of the worst and most conceivable kind. It is outrageous. It is and it must not stand. That is why I am calling for a complete and total boycott of all things Mars, and particularly M&M's. It will not stand. Let me say this loudly, let me say this clearly, let me say this unambiguously. Any male that buys a packet of M&M's from today forward must hand in their man card, because they are a soft, woke, beta, male feminist who has serious problems. Until M&M's rectify this grave wrong by giving us all male M&M's, this boycott will remain. We will not stand for this at all. M&M's?
Oh my god! Oh my god! What is first world problems, man? Oh yeah, and the most hilarious part about his complaint about these first world problems is that he's then subsequently recommended such anti-woke alternatives as Skittles and Twix. And both of them are made by the same company, Mars Incorporated. It makes you wonder if he has some sort of stock in the company and is trying to amplify and sabotage its stock at the same time. This is insane. This is completely insane. Now, we got pretty a bit off topic as far as Martin Luther King Jr. Day itself. And what does it commemorate? It commemorates a man who was, you all know him for being very strong and he was a man who was many things. He was he was a champion of economic equality. He was also a champion of anti-war sentiment. He was a champion of universal health care. And most importantly of all, he was a champion of civil rights. We all know that. Okay, and as far as the rest of my Sunday was concerned, I sat down after playing such long hours of Sonic Heroes, going on my phone and watching and recording a broadcast as part of the Wonderful World of Disney series of the 2003 Pixar classic Finding Nemo off of KGO TV in San Francisco. And I uploaded the all of the commercial breaks from that on my channel if you want to check it out. I also uploaded the whole thing to archive.org because, well, the copyright politics of Disney are obviously not gonna let me get away with uploading it in full on YouTube. So there's the link in the chat box to my upload of the full broadcast. I don't know what else I'm out there doing the stream. Couldn't get that many people to show up for it for some reason. I don't know why. But let's see if what else I'm going to talk about. I've exhausted some of the topics. Oh yeah, here's another one. Chaya Rawlchick is striking again. This time she was showing a picture of pride flags. He says a school in Colorado is selling pride flags to students. Where in Colorado? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. She just decided to endanger the livelihood of one of the most LGBTQIA plus friendly cities in the whole United States of America. That's stupid. And, let's see. What do I want to? Yeah, this is insane. Martin is lynched. And, well, as far as Martin Luther King Jr. is concerned, they claim, the conservatives claim that, oh yeah, you would have been like us because people might have got in their character, their skin color, see. And yeah, they're pretty racist in judging by the cut. The judgment of how they judge the character. And the problem is, how they judge their character is often very racist. In which they go about judging a black person's character is often extremely racist. Observe, for example, a comment made by a user by the name of Fuck Soiny Sensor Station. Straight pride colors. On Twitter, who writes, and I quote, I quote in its entirety. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream that one day his people would be judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. Today, we are judging them by the content of their character. So many of them are troublemakers rather than decent members of society. And this is... Oh, God. And yes, if you're wondering, the Sony Sensor Station is one of those Lolicon Shadowcon promoters on YouTube, but that's beside the point. That is just horrible. Horrible. This guy's incredibly. This guy didn't even try to hide his racism. Racism flew out of him. Your generalized racism. You think he's the only black? These are definitely. He talks over black people, and he thinks he knows better than them. And he's just. This guy's bad news all over the place. Really bad news. And anyway, in the midst of all this craziness, there came about the debut of an HBO Max show called Velma, which it's not even a week old. In its first week, it already has gone trashed by just about everyone who saw even a small snippet of it. And we're going to talk about that now. And we'll probably talk about some other things too, if you'd like. Installing all dates, do not close this one. With our little Zoom guest modified, I think. Do not close this window. Got it. Anyway, Velma. Easy. Oh my. I heard. Yeah, I'm gonna start a. I think I'm gonna start a Zoom meeting where Bonafide and I are gonna. It's another Zoom meeting. Bonafide and myself, where we're gonna talk about this week's topics. Will be within will probably be about Velma, the new show on HBO Max. I think. Get the link. Hold on. Whiteboard. Hold on. Participants. Copy invite link. Good. So, one of them was about one of the topics in hand for today. My screen on Zoom Pro. Hey, there's a weird thing happening in my Zoom. Look at that. That sure looks like hell. Looks like I stepped into a Pearl Jam video. Why don't I try starting the video up again? There you go. Hey. Hello. And today we're going to be talking about yeah, I have no idea what happened to my Zoom screen. So my Zoom screen, because I have no idea what happened to it. It looked like it looks like a Pearl Jam video. It looks like a Pearl Jam video, something out of a Pearl Jam. And anyway, we're going to be talking about. I thought we would be talking about the new HBO Max series Velma, which debuted last week. It's barely a week old, and it's already been hated by just about everybody. Yeah, for various reasons, not the least of which is it seems that the only good thing about it was that Velma came out as a lesbian. Let's see. Like at one point, there was actually a scene in the Velma cartoon in which you have a Daphne and what was it? Velma in the nude fighting, and I was like, "What the hell was going on here? Who dragged Constance Wu into this scene? Who dragged the star fresh off the boat into the scene?" Yeah, oh, that's insane. That's insane to me, and yeah. Also, decaling apparently got a call out. Got called now for being a bit of a transphobe, someone who is a bit of an ally to J.K. Rowling. So that didn't help her case any. And let's see, the show debuted with a 50% score on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe it did, and it was trash by just about everybody. It was trash by Richard Roper, who doesn't normally review TV shows. He gave it, I think, 2 stars, and really gave it a rib roasting. I think I can link it in the chat stream. If I still have the link anyway. So, the problem here. But then what's worse, the Lolicon and SeanCon guys who are looking at this whole thing about, Daphne and Velma having a brawl naked, are trying to make this a gotcha moment for anti-lollies, which it's really not. That's everyone in the anti-lolly crowd. Everyone you know who's in the anti-lolly crowd hates that scene. Amazingly. It's amazing with the goalpost that they got here. Anyway. So this show is basically canceled out its own audience, but oddly enough, the hate watching of it shot the series up to #1 on HBO Max. It's basically a show made for nobody, essentially. It's a cartoon that's made with no money in mind, and which nobody really wants to watch. And let's see. As far as other things are concerned, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And Martin Luther King Jr. Day, can you tell me why Martin Luther King Jr. means to you? You're talking about, right? Yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, yes. What does Martin Luther King Jr. mean to you? His legacy in life.
It's considering that it's hard for me to put a lot of stuff into words. But he, but a day like this does mean a lot to me because I like to see myself as anti-racist, and I support civil rights. I'm a firm supporter of civil rights.
Yes.
And let me get to Twitter. There were a lot of tweets,
Huh.
such as the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. Mind if I share my screen?
Oh yeah. Let me go ahead and alter the. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna take a moment, please, to see the participants folder. Let's see. We can share. Let's put. Let's see. I'm trying to see about sharing screens, but let me see here. Whiteboards. Who can share when someone else is sharing? All participants. There we go. Now you can share your screen. And zooming out and.
Share content. Only a host can share in this meeting. So,
Let's multiple participants can share simultaneously. I switched that. There we go. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. I switched it and make it a little easier. There we go. There's your screen. That's Bonafide screen, fellas. And yep, there's Saluna.
So, here, there's a thread of MLK speeches and sermons where she speaks to power, shares about his philosophy of nonviolence, and expounds on issues of injustice and what a righteous, rigorous response should be.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, hang on, there's a few things. Here's Mehdi Hassan talking about how Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is often boiled down to a few words or phrases. But he asks us to remember Dr. King as an outspoken leftist that he actually was, not the man we conveniently wanted him to be. Let's see that. Let's take a look at that.
Yes.
Start.
Voted against it. Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday that this country has marked since 1986. It sadly took nearly 2 decades after his death for Congress to agree to it, and even then, plenty of prominent Republicans at the time, like the late Senator John McCain, and the current GOP voted against it. Still, today, the Republican Party, like Americans as a whole, claims to love MLK and what he stands for, at least who they think he is and what they think he stands for. For most Republicans, Dr. King is just a guy who said to forget about skin color. They basically know just one quote of his out of context, and they repeat it ad nauseum.
We embrace the noble vision of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and believe that people should not be judged based on the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
You think about what MLK stood for. He said he didn't want people judged on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character.
Where he said most critically, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
We do not seek to judge people by the color of their skin, but rather the content of their character.
But it isn't just Republicans who don't quite get Dr. King, who want to, for want of a better word, whitewash MLK. It's the American public, American society as a whole. This country has spent decades engaging in what Dr. Cornel West calls the Santa Clausification of Martin Luther King, the sanitizing and domesticating of Dr. King, to quote Dr. West. Over Christmas, I had family visiting me from California, so I took them to the MLK Memorial in D.C., a stunningly beautiful and poignant tribute to the late civil rights leader. We took photos by the legendary MLK quotes up on the walls there. You know the ones. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. But you know what was missing at that memorial? The quotes from the late Dr. King that show what a radical he was. For example, what he said in his Beyond Vietnam speech at the Riverside Church in New York in April 1967, a year before his death, and I quote, "I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government." That quote, weirdly, didn't make it onto any of the walls at his memorial. By the way, can you imagine if AOC or Ilhan Omar said that today? That the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today was the American government. It wouldn't just be Republicans losing their minds. It'd be their fellow Democrats. It'd be the liberal media too, and many ordinary patriotic Americans. But Dr. King said it. Because Dr. King wasn't just passionately anti-racism. He was proudly anti-war. He was ferociously anti-poverty. For Dr. King, as he pointed out in that Riverside speech, what needed to be conquered were the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism. Today, we remember Dr. King's struggle against racism. We try often in his name to continue his struggle against racism. The George Floyd protests, the attempts to restrain our trigger-happy police departments and tackle the racial inequality baked into America from the campus to the C-suite to Congress. But how about the struggle against militarism, with our bloated Pentagon defense budget and our endless wars abroad, which have left so many people dead? How about the struggle against extreme materialism that has left millions in poverty and destitution while allowing the creation of billionaires who exploit workers and dodge taxes? You know, the New York Times, the liberal New York Times, back then, 3 days after the Riverside speech and Dr. King's talk of the giant triplets and American violence, the Times slammed him in an editorial headline, "Dr. King's Error." They accused him of wrongly fusing two public problems, racism and war, that are distinct and separate. But Dr. King didn't back down. Racism, war, poverty, they were all interconnected for him. Racial justice had to go hand in hand with economic justice. What good is having the right to sit at a lunch counter if you can't afford to buy a hamburger, he famously declared. And remember, in March 1968, MLK was assassinated in Memphis, and he was in Memphis to support sanitation workers who were on strike for better pay and conditions. In fact, in 1967, less than a year before his death, Dr. King spoke with NBC News at his Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, about what the pastor called the new phase of the struggle for genuine equality, his Poor People's Campaign.
And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps. But it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.
And here's something else that they don't tell you about Dr. King. He wasn't a capitalist. He was a socialist. Huh? Yeah. The S word that gives everyone from Donald Trump to Nancy Pelosi the jitters. And yet Martin Luther King Jr. was a socialist. As a 23-year-old writing to his then-girlfriend, Coretta, in 1952, MLK said, "I am much more socialistic in my economic theory than capitalistic, and that capitalism has outlived its usefulness." Over a decade later, just a couple of years before he died, Dr. King said that something is wrong with capitalism, and that there must be a better distribution of wealth. Maybe, he said, America must move toward a democratic socialism. You'll be surprised to hear that that quote isn't on the wall at his DC memorial either, and isn't cited by Republican or Democratic politicians today. So, on this MLK Day, let's be honest with ourselves, with his legacy. Let's remember Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as the man, as the proud radical and socialist he actually was, not as the man we conveniently want him or imagine him to be.
That was great. And Mehdi Hassan, by the way, is a contributor to MSNBC and hosts a television talk show for the network. And anyway, hello to Savage Gamer 1998 as well.
Yeah, that was a really good segment from Hassan,
Yes.
who acknowledged the work that Dr. King did,
Yes.
and the message he spread, that not only was anti-racism problem, that there were so many other factors that helped contribute to the problems that people of color face.
Oh, there definitely are, and there probably still are today, if come to think of it. And there's
another
flag. As we honor Martin Luther King Jr. Day, his words, story, and history are being banned in school districts across the country. Makes you wonder what some people are afraid of, doesn't it? Here are his words, here is story. Read with love. Definitely read with love.
Absolutely. Considering that Ron DeSantis and his ilk have gone after trans issues,
Yes.
and the LGBTQ community.
Yes.
This is basically the next logical step in their bigotry.
Oh my God. And a very alarming step, come to think of it. I thought Martin Luther King was a hero of theirs. Why do they have to turn their back on him this quick?
It's almost like they never actually respect them.
No, they clearly don't. Apparently not. Let's see. Bernice King. If you're going to quote and authentically honor my father on MLK Day, commit to embracing a world house perspective. Determine how you'll disrupt unjust systems and thinking with nonviolent strategy. Support policies that reflect higher consciousness. Make no excuses for hate.
That's Bernice King is Dr. King's daughter.
Yes.
Who is why follow on Twitter and retweet regularly.
Yes. As we all are here at this point. And
those are just a few of examples of hang on. Just a bit of a hiccup with Zoom there. Basically, that's basically what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day means to me. It means that we should remember the policies that support everyday people, especially people of color in this country.
That's wonderful.
And why it's so important.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. What else is on my mind? Well, I can't really think of much else. Yeah, Bolsonaro. I do have to talk a little bit about the insurrection that occurred in the Brazilian capital, right as Lula was being inaugurated as the president of Brazil, and it was instigated by supporters of Jair Bolsonaro, who was basically Brazilian Trump, and I at one point called him the COVID King because he could not stop having a lot of COVID deaths in that country. At one point, the highest number of COVID deaths, and this was before we had a vaccine, folks. It is the highest number of COVID deaths in any country outside of this continent. In the U.S. Yeah. Went to Brazil during the Bolsonaro tenure. I'm glad he's gone now, obviously. I joked a number of times. I joked in a couple of Savage Gamers streams, explore the forest where the frogs live in Sonic Heroes before Bolsonaro burns it down. Anyway, now, and as far as Bolsonaro is concerned, I really, this was a very horrible thing. They decided, that Lula was an illegitimate president, and then he was going to incite this whole insurrection over it. He ought to be investigated by Lula's government immediately over that. And also, why did it have to? We already had a tragedy on January 8th here in Tucson, obviously. There was a shooting at the Safeway back in 2011. We don't need another tragedy on January 8th overshadowing that. And just poured gasoline on our fire on that day. And it was just, that was embarrassing.
Has Bolsonaro been extradited yet?
Not really, but I didn't hear that he was, but one day he ought to be extradited. If anyone's worthy of an extradition in the world, it's Jair Bolsonaro. Man, this guy's a total prick. Total prick, and I'm glad he's not running Brazil anymore. Let's see. Let's see. Anyway, we came up with our own little distinctive meme sandwich. Oh, anyway, that's we had a pretty long stream. I went about I won just over an hour on my own YouTube stream, and just under an hour on my own YouTube stream, and with random things to talk about. Things I spent. Well, there's Nick Adams' war on M&Ms. Obviously, you saw that too. He was declaring war. He decided he was going to declare war on feminist woke M&Ms. I already talked about that earlier in the stream, and my thought on it was, I said it basically sounds like it makes you wonder if he's secretly on the board, if he secretly holds stock in Mars Incorporated and is trying to artificially inflate and deflate stock at the same time. Let's see. Because his anti-woke alternatives were fellow Mars Incorporated kitties, Skittles, and Twix.
Reese's Pieces was right there, and he was too dumb to remember. Oh wait, those are right there, and I went with other Mars candies.
He's gonna pat himself real good. He still likes patting himself. He looks. Oh wait, sorry about that. Sorry. Oh wait. I call other people out for fat shaming. I shouldn't be doing that myself. Sorry about that. Yeah, Nick Adams, purveyor of unhealthy lifestyles, gets mad when representatives of unhealthy lifestyles end up going woke on him. Champion of unhealthy lifestyles until they go woke. That's why you eat healthy snacks, folks.
I mean, what am I gonna do now? Dress up a gummy bear as a Hooters waitress?
Yeah. Yeah, or something like that. Hey, we got two people watching this right now. Or at least, and one of them left. There was a rant. We had anyway. Well, we've exhausted our energies as far as usable topics. Oh, by the way, Congratulations on serial killer Jerry Dahmer for losing 3 out of his 4 Golden Globes. The victims' families could not be happier. You know? Yeah. I don't know why they keep making movies about serial killers already.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only so much about so much we know about serial killers. We don't need to know much more, and we certainly that should be left to Lifetime. That trend should have been left to the Lifetime movie graveyard, where exploitative shit goes to, where exploitative shit, can live and thrive for generation upon generation.
Yeah, we got full channels, HLN, Oxygen. Basically, they rebranded it Oxygen 2 Crime.
Yeah.
Investigation Discovery.
Yeah.
Stick to those.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. We are filled with serial killers already. You don't need any more. Anyway, that's whole list of topics in my head, and so little time to talk about them all. So, what is the time? We've now gone an hour and a minute into my own YouTube live stream. And anyway, as far as my Sunday was concerned, I already brought this up earlier. I spent the whole Sunday trying to play Sonic Heroes, the GameCube version, on the Dolphin emulator, because that version was recommended to me by Savage Gamer 1998, and Savage Gamer, and as far as the game itself is concerned, it was pretty good for a quarter of the way through. I played as Team Rose and as Team Chaotix for that one. I struggled to get through the Egg Albatross in Team Rose, because Eggman was incredibly overpowered in that one. Way overpowered in that one. So overpowered it felt like it took as long as a call to the Social Security Administration to defeat him. And which is ridiculous, because Team Rose is supposedly the easiest level in the team in the game, and Eggman already is a cartoonish villain. He's already cartoonish, so you don't need to. It shouldn't be that hard to defeat, really. And then as far as Team Chaotix is concerned, they were relatively easy. They were easy going on me. But then I got to Bullet Station, and the Bullet Station stage, as far as Team Chaotix, was an endless series of, I think, a lot of suicide. I called it on Twitter, "What suicide jump too many?" So I ended up giving up on that after a while, and then, and after I gave up on Sonic Heroes for the day, I sat down. I turned my phone on. I went to the record. I went on and Puffer and X Recorder and recorded and airing from KGO TV in San Francisco of broadcast of the 2003 Pixar classic Finding Nemo. And Finding Nemo was, anyway, a great film. One of the best, I think, of the Lasseter era of Pixar. Or at least one of the better ones from the Lasseter days. And that was as part of the Wonderful World of Disney series on the ABC network. By the way, for the next 2 weeks, for the next 2 Sundays, they will be broadcasting a couple of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies on the Wonderful World of Disney. But I wouldn't expect Spider-Man films to show up on there, because they're owned by Sony, and Sony tends to prefer Hulu, apparently, as far as giving some of their content to Disney is concerned. So, and plus the Wonderful World of Disney is obviously explicitly tied to Disney Plus. So obviously, only stuff that's on Disney Plus is going to get on the Wonderful World of Disney, and the Spider-Man films aren't there, so are on Hulu rather. So, or at least I think they're on Hulu. I'll have to look at that again. But as part of the Sony Disney licensing deal. So anyway. And, oh wait. I got 9 minutes of time in my meeting. 9 minutes of time left. Anyway, I'll tweet about my hearing of. I'll be sure to retweet the posts that are on your page about the significance of Martin Luther King Jr. as a day, because all of them seem quite fascinating. Especially, I particularly enjoyed looking at Mehdi Hasan's editorial on tradition, and then there's also, I linked in the chat box for my own stream, and also linked to Twitter, my full upload of my broadcast, of the my off-air recording of the broadcast of, what was it? Of the Finding Nemo. There you go. Plus the 11 p.m. newscast that followed, which I only got 11 minutes of before my phone ran out of storage space. 11 or 12 minutes of before my phone ran out of storage space. Let's see. And I also uploaded the commercials from that broadcast to YouTube. I was originally going to upload the version with part of the closing credits that got shown before they jumped to the split screen that promoted American Idol's revival returning, but that ended up getting blocked by Disney, so I ended up removing that portion out of the video afterward. And so, but I remember to include like the seconds before and after we come into the break, and I remembered also to also show the Chroma Key station IDs, which are just the ABC7 logo. And once again on Zoom, as you are probably aware, once again on Zoom, one hell of a drug trip there on my screen. Anyway. I don't know why my camera is acting the way it's doing today. Something must be really up with my laptop's webcam. Perhaps I should have just done the phone's way. Maybe that would have been easier. Easier said than done. But it's probably easier said than done, though. Anyway, modify your scrolling on this iPad, I think it is. I had some, and by the way, tomorrow I think I might participate in. I missed Savage Gamer 1998's stream of the Team Chaotix playing for Sonic Heroes on the PS2, mainly because I was playing Team Chaotix on GameCube at the time. So, but I did participate in most of the Team Sonic stream today, and yep, there are some memes I came up with for the characters of the Power Formations, as far as these teams are concerned. For Team Rose, it's Big the Perv, because at one point he said, the Q-Rabbit can do it, and I'm like, you're a grown man and crave sex. What the hell are you doing? You know. For Team Chaotix, it was pedophile, because you may know in the cutscene before the fight match between Team Chaotix and Team Rose that that Vector sexually harasses Amy, who's 12. Oh my god. And for Team Sonic, it's Knuckles the Oblivious and Allegedly Mature. Because he likes to prove how mature he is. Because he says, shit, boo, shit, yeah, shit, rock. And then there is also, and but it also says, it also says, does things and then does some things. He also has no self-awareness. He will say, "Oh, this thing self-exploded, and I don't know why." And he said, "Because you made it explode, dumbass." Like, because you made it explode, dumbass. But at least Tails has an excuse to not be aware of certain things because he actually is a kid and makes no pretense of being a kid. Let's see. 4 minutes left in this particular Zoom meeting, and I'll sit here figuring out what to do about the nickname for about what the meme for Team Dark will be in Savage Gamer 1998 stream of his playing of that in the PS2 Sonic Heroes tomorrow. And well, I'll see you in my next meeting. Have a good evening to you, Bonafide, and
Thank you.
Thank you
as well.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Have a nice evening. And so much for this special Martin Luther King Jr. stream. I hope you enjoyed our ramblings on many different things Bonafide tonight. Be sure to check out my upload of the Finding Nemo broadcast from KGO TV on archive.org and the commercial breaks from that on my YouTube channel. And I'll see you in my next video or live stream. Have a nice evening, folks. Now I'm going to take care of